How many of you pay too much damn taxes? That's charity, man. Why not go up to someone who is working instead of bitching that they should give you more free shit? Tell them thank you for the stuff you already got. How about them apples? I don't like moochers, and I don't like slackers. Does that make me a cold-hearted evil man, guys? Do you like moochers and slackers? Is that biblical? We'll talk about that in a minute. We'll go over what it actually says. But first, I got to tell you my experience so you can know where I'm coming from. I, for a long time, and still struggle with this one, still totally struggle with this one. Super generous, big-hearted, given everything, you know, time, labor, money, items, all kinds of stuff, right? I'm giving everything you can because I perceived that the Christian principles that have been handed to me through my upbringing and the schools I went to and whatnot meant that you just have to do that. And that is helping the people that you're trying to help. Over the course of a lot of blood, sweat, and tears over the years, man, I'm here to tell you, sometimes you think you're helping people and you're not helping them. You're actually entrenching them further into their problem. And so I'm going to tell you a few stories to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. If you have had these same things happen to you, comment below. Give me a thumbs up so I can hear that you're hearing this message. If you're about to type some retort in the comments below, you might want to wait until we're done if you want to preserve your integrity. Because we're going to go through the whole thing here. And then after you watch the whole thing with both ears, not one ear listening kind of and the other one's like arguing with people in the comments. This is what everyone seems to do. Hear me out and then we'll have a discussion in the comments after that, okay? So, like, there's a big difference between real poverty in the world, which I've seen real poverty in the world, and not real poverty. Big difference. And a lot of people, due to our messed up culture, identify as being in poverty because of various reasons. We'll talk about that. But it's not real poverty. Real poverty is pretty gruesome, and I can tell you about that. Also, you know, there's a difference between generosity, which I thought I was doing, and enabling, which I actually was doing, and sometimes continue to still do to this day. Has anyone here ever enabled anybody and found out later, man, that was not helpful at all? It's too bad, right? You know, when we're young, we're kind of naive. We have a big heart, but we don't have the experience or the wisdom yet when we're younger at heart, and this can happen to old people too. Just because you're old doesn't mean you're past this. But when you're young at heart and you're kind of naive, you haven't been around that much, okay? It's hard to understand some of these things. So I will tell you some stories that you can probably relate to that are true stories, rather than getting into the psychology and political arguments or whatever, okay? So like, when I was a kid, I used to mow lawns. As one of my deals is shovel snow and help, you know, retired people like do their stuff, you know, that like they need a strong back, you know, and I was like lifting square bales or whatever, right? And there's this one summer, man, they had this candy down at the gas station down on the end of the corner. And it was this jawbreaker. It's like this big, the Jurassic Park jawbreaker. I think it was like 93 was the year. This huge freaking thing. It was like amazing. It took like 3 months to eat it. And you drop it and like roll under the bed and you'd find it like a week later. Like, oh man, there's fuzz on it. And like, whoa, candy, you know, just wipe it off and it would take you forever to eat it. And it was good. I don't know what kind of crazy sugar stuff they had in there, but I wanted one of those things, right? And I was like, man, that jawbreaker looks awesome. Well, my folks ain't going to buy me no freaking giant bowling ball size jawbreaker. What's that, more like a shot put about that size? And so I'm like, well, rather than asking my folks, which I know are just going to like smack me in the head for asking for something so silly, I will have to work because my money that I make from my own labor then I can choose what I do with that. So I went and I mowed lawns and I did raking and whatever, right? And I busted my ass in summertime, like sweating. And finally, I had, I think it was $4.65. This thing was expensive, like by today's terms, it's probably in like $50. I don't know, right? Not that long ago. So I drove my bicycle down to the corner and I went in there. I'm like, they still have one. So I was like, oh, thank God. And I bought this jawbreaker and I come home, and before I opened the box, because it looked like a dinosaur's egg. I don't know if you guys remember those, like a big, like all different colors. And it had a picture of a dinosaur on it, right? Like, oh man, look at this dinosaur egg candy thing I'm gonna eat. And one of my mom's friends, I don't remember even who it was, came over to visit, and she brought her boy over, who's like a year or two older than me, or maybe the same age. Cowboy kid, but kind of like, I don't know what he like, always whining and always playing sad, always playing victim. Well, he sees me all happy at this jawbreaker. He's like, where'd you get that? And I'm like, oh, I got it at the gas station. You want one? Let's go get one. I don't have any money. I don't have any money, Rex. It was $4. I couldn't afford it. I'm like, well, shit. Like, well, I'm sorry. I can share it with you, but that's kind of gross, you know? Like, probably should have your own. You want to mow lawns? Oh, I don't have any money. And he cried and cried about it so much, I was compassionate. I truly was like, oh, poor guy. He's sad at the moment. I'm like, you want my jawbreaker? He's like, really? Oh, yeah. And he gets it and he kind of eats it for a while. And he's running around, and my parents, they're looking out the window because we're in the screen door's open. And you can hear him talking. We go in there like, did you just give that kid your jawbreaker? I'm like, yeah. Well, he wanted one. Like, I just, you know, like, he wasn't mowing any lawns or nothing. He was just kind of like, doesn't have enough money. So I just figured he wants it more than me. And the kid's mom was like, oh, I got praised for enabling this useless little punk who wouldn't go and get his own damn money, right? I got so much praise from that kid's mom. Like, oh, that kid has a big heart. You have a big heart on there, son. Don't ever let that go away. Jesus likes it when you have a big heart. I'm like, he does? Cool. And so that became like my thing. And I didn't realize this until recently when I was like reevaluating, where the hell did this whole deal come from with me, you know, doing this all the time? And I got more stories. And my dad kind of said something like, hey man, like that kid can go get his own damn jawbreaker. Like you worked like for hours, you know, like all morning, like at all these things, like to get that money, that $4, right? Because they get like $1 for mowing someone's lawn, right? And I'm like, oh, Pa, well, you know, I'm a giving heart. And he just kind of shake his head, whatever. Okay, whatever, kid, you know. Yeah, my Pa was right. That lady praised me, and so I went on this deal. And so I did this for a long time. Lots of stories. One time, a bro of mine was hard up for a place to stay, right? Like, oh, man, I don't got a place to stay. I'll probably just have to die out in the woods, out in the wilderness. And I was living out in western Montana at the time. And I'm like, well, here's the deal, man. Like, you're kind of hard up. You just moved out here. Like, you can stay. I got lots of room. I bought a house with my job that I have, that I worked for, by the way. I bought a house, but like, you can stay in the upstairs, man. But here's the deal, like, because we got to trade something, right? So if you cut the wood, I'll cut down the trees. I'll gather the wood. I'll put it on the trailer. I'll cut it down to size, right? And I'll bring it over and I'll throw it all in a giant pile in the backyard, like 5 or 10 cords of wood. I'm like, as needed, because we heat this place on wood stoves. We had 3 wood stoves. Just go out there and chop enough wood to keep the things full. That's it. Should take you 5 to 10 minutes. I have a big splitting maul. I got a saw in case you need to trim something down to length, you know, so it fits in the stove. Oh, yeah. Oh, no problem, right? Okay, cool. We got a trade. All you have to do is 5 minutes of labor per day, and then you can live free of rent. Instead of charging $300 a month, you just cut some wood. Well, you think you got to appreciate that. Well, not so much sometimes, right? All of a sudden, I start coming home from my job, and here's this guy on my PlayStation or whatever this thing is called with the Nintendo games. He's playing my race car game on there, like race cars, like Gran Turismo. And I'm like, oh, hey, man, what's going on today? Hey, don't bother me. I'm playing my Nintendo. And I'm like, and I go and I'm going to go stoke because the fire is dying. I go look for the wood. There's no freaking wood in there. Look in the back. There's no wood cut or chopped or nothing. And I'm looking at him playing on this Nintendo game. I'm like, hey, man, weren't you supposed to bring wood in? Well, you quit freaking bothering me. I keep dying in this level. Look, I crashed my car. And what the hell's the matter with you? I crashed the car. I don't need to tell you the rest of that story, what happened with that. Kid ends up smoking shit up smoking bad stuff in the upstairs. I'm like, what stinks so bad up here all the time? I find his stuff, I take it outside, smash the hell out of it, grab his stuff, throw it in the yard. Hey, man, you're moving out today. Well, I'm a victim. No, dude, you're not a victim. You don't got your shit together, that's for sure. But you are out of here, right? Was my generosity appreciated? Well, the more generous you get with people like that, the more they get entitled, the more they feed off of that. They will resent you for being nice to them. They will resent you for not catering to them enough. So another time, that reminds me of a story. I had this family heirloom, little guitar, and I'm playing it and I'm enjoying this guitar. It's a piece of crap guitar, but it's an heirloom, right? Piece of crap, barely works. And I'm enjoying it so much, cousin comes over like, man, that's really cool. I'm like, well, it wasn't cool the million times you saw it before I was playing it, but now I'm playing it, right? Oh, man, like, well, nobody ever gives me nothing like that, you know, like, I don't know, like, that's just kind of bad, you know. I always wanted a heirloom guitar as well, too, even though it means not as much to me, but like, oh. And I'm like, oh, man, poor guy. So I give it to him. I'm like, you can have it. Think he'd appreciate that? No. No, forget about it. Talking shit the next day about guitar stuff. Like, oh, you probably don't even as good as a guitar guy as me. Okay, whatever. People, man. It's like, there's this pastor in town that I used to hang out with. And I'm telling you these stories to build my case, okay? And then I'll tell you what the Bible says. Because that's what's important. There's this pastor, and he kept warning me. He's like, dude, there's this guy. He's begging. He's got the dog. He's got icicles hanging off him because it's wintertime in North Dakota. It's like terrible, right? He's like, that guy is faking it. He is like begging. He's taking money from people. He's just lazy. I tried helping him, and he screwed me over. Look, he's a beggar. It's probably fine. And so me and the wife were driving out of the parking lot of the big store in town there. And here's this guy, the icicles hanging off of him, and the dog. I'm like, I'm freezing. Please help me. I'm like, in my brain, here's what happened. Here's a process I'll identify for you. Give to anyone that asks of you. Does it say exactly how to give? Does it say give free cash to anyone who asks of you? I didn't say that. It says give freely to anyone who asks of you. You are to choose how you're going to give in the most, you're actually responsible for how you're going to give, to be responsible and not enable them to do more horrific things to themselves. Anyways, this guy at the gas station, so I'm like, oh man, you know what? Here you go, man. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to give him cash because he looks like he might be on crack. So how about this? I'm like, I stop. I'm like, hey man, are you doing okay? Oh no, I'm cold out here. So cold. It's like 20 below and I don't even got a hat or gloves, man. I need money. I need money, man. No, I tried working, but I just can't find a job. This is during the oil boom. You can find a job, a good job, if you want to work. I can't find a job. I'm just going to freeze out here. So I'm like, oh shit, he's going to freeze. Well, that's not good. So I go back to my place and I have real high quality, extreme cold weather gear. Like gloves that are like $40 and like this Balaclava, you know, like the mil-spec stuff and face masks and like a really warm scarf, like $100 worth of like cold weather gear. I'm like, I don't want him to freeze. I'm not going to give him whiskey money or nothing, but I don't want him to freeze solid. And give to him, oh, wow. Oh, okay. And he puts it in his bag and stands there at the sign and keeps looking. I'm like, you want food? So I took him out for breakfast, me and the wife. I was more curious at this point. I'm like, I think this is the guy. I'm like, so what do you do, man? Like, well, you know, tell me your story. Why are you so poor around here? Oh, you know, I just can't find any work. Can't find it. I'm like, so what do you do for fun? Oh, Xbox too. There's this one game called like the devil attacks the army guys. And like the devil, you're like, and you hit the button and then like the gun shoot, like, He told me all about his giant fantasy, whatever the hell, Xbox game that kids play. You have time to play whatever Devil May Cry Part 6 or whatever the hell on Xbox, whatever. But you can't freaking... But you're standing out there with icicles hanging off of you? I'm like, well, where do you live? Oh, I got a place downtown over here, a trailer. I'm kind of poor, so they got to pay for it. Oh, I paid for your trailer with taxes. That's why they took my money again. Okay, I see. I'm starting to see a pattern here, guys, right? It's like professional beggars. Have you guys ever seen professional beggars one time? First time I was like way away from home. Like by myself away from home, right? And I'm in Asia, and they have signs everywhere with little kids on them with their hands out, and they look all pathetic, and they're like, do not feed these kids. Do not give them any money. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cold-hearted. You're not going to feed the kids any money? Or you're not going to feed them or give them any money? And it's like, absolutely, under no circumstances, do not feed me, is what it said on the sign. And I'm like, well, that's weird, right? And so come to find out, yeah, it's a crime syndicate. They take orphans, or they make orphans, and then they have them run around doing their racket, and pretty soon you're feeding them, then you're giving them money, then they pickpocket you. And the cops are working hard to eradicate this off the streets, but it's just a professional deal because it's like 50% out of work because of freaking communism, which is an idea that says other people should work and you just get there and sit and take their money for free, A whole religion and government built on that shit. Like, oh, I can't find a job. The government must take care of me. Weird. That makes stuff worse when they try that. I've seen it in real life. I've been to communism land. Did you know that? Not California. Even worse. I got to see actual Maoists with guns trying to shoot at me while I was on a motorcycle one time. Evading the roadblock or whatever. Yeah. So I've seen communism a little bit. Yeah, the real ones that are not federalists, communists, real ones with the red headband and shit. Oh, that was awesome. So, okay. So professional beggars, they'll actually have deals with starving babies. There's this one lady, she comes up and she's like, oh, and she's kind of a plump lady. Not as plump as I am now, but she's wearing ankle jewelry. I'm observant. And she's running around with this little baby, and it's all shriveled up, and it's just wrinkled. It looks like malnutrition, really horrific, right? And she's like, baby need milk, baby need milk. And I'm looking at this lady, and she's well-fed, and she's wearing jewelry on her ankles. I lost it. I said, I ain't lactating, lady. Sorry. How come, where in the hell? I'm not giving you any of my milk, sorry. Don't got none for you. Because they will actually do that. I was in the Carpathian Mountains one time. Transylvania type stuff, right? And I was out there, and there's a whole group of people where their spiel is to sit around in junkyards. They'll disfigure their children. They'll cut their ear off, or they'll, remove an eye, or they'll, cut some fingers off, so they get more government money because now they're disabled. And they sit there and they just drink all day and do drugs and just freaking got another baby? That's more government money. Cut their fingers off. Pretty damn horrific. And I was talking to the guys that have to deal with those guys. There's a reason sometimes where people are a little angry at that stuff. People sometimes earn these things over a course of time. A lot of people portray themselves to be these helpless, innocent, poor little birdies. I'm just a chirping birdie. I just need some help. It's I've never seen a poor person in America, and you cannot tell me how poor you are in the comments. If you have a supercomputer in your pocket with service and internet service, you're telling me you're poor? Really? Who bought that for you, by the way? You're welcome. Rex, how arrogant. How dare you say these things? I heard you say some arrogant things. Yeah, I bought your damn iPhone. If you're so poor you can't do anything. Guys will complain Rex, you're charging money for the VSL Lounge feature on your Patreon channel. How dare you? How dare you charge money for this thing you created and worked really hard for and provide all this cool stuff for people that want to be there? Well, it's kind of against your principles, you know, Rex. Yeah, we'll get to the Bible in a minute. How dare you want us to pay you a cup of coffee to hang out on this exclusive, uncensored deal? Like, come on, man. Like, I'm the bad guy, so I create a restaurant, and I have the lounge in the back that's really nice. Well, you know, like, okay, it costs more to, if you're going to buy the whatever, you know, lounge ticket, then you can go back here. I got a band playing back there. And this other, the stuff on the menu there is a little more. And they got the normal room for everyone else, right? Like, hey, if you want to pay for restaurant food, like, I got a restaurant, I got food here. It's called Rex's, like, how to tune your muzzle velocity variation seminar online thing or whatever. But you have to give me a cup of coffee every once in a while, then we're even, see? Because it's capitalism and stuff, like, you know, like working for what you have kind of stuff. Oh, I don't know, like, that's kind of out of line there, Rex. I heard you talked about biblical principles on that channel. You can't do that. You must give me stuff for free, Rex. I give you, like, hey, man, 788 videos as of today for free. I'm all about charity. See, my kitchen, you forget about this, also has this thing out front, which is the food pantry. For all the people that are complaining about being poor all the time, like, hey, man, here's the food pantry. Like, we're not going to use this at the restaurant, but I don't want it to go to waste. Like, here you guys go, you know, like, this is cool. Or if you know somebody who wants to learn about this or do this or be entertained by this or whatever, here it is. And then the people taking stuff from the food pantry are yelling at me for not letting them into the VIP lounge. It's like, are you a communist? Just checking. Are you a freaking communist? Because I don't like communists either. He tried to kill me. Then you have taxes. Who here pays taxes? There are millions and millions on welfare counting on you to continue to fund them. I can't work, Rex. I can't do anything. I'm poor. You have a supercomputer in your pocket with service on it. You have a supercomputer in your pocket with service. How'd you get that? If you can do that and you have the wherewithal to type hate in the comments as a troll, turn off the social media and get to work. My job is on an iPhone. Weird. I figured it out. I can't figure anything out, Rex. Well, then freaking go and be sad. I'm sorry. It's not my responsibility to motivate you. I can make fun of you. I mean, like, am I an evil bastard for thinking like this? You know, Principal Strickland was right. Slackers. Well, I've heard, you want to hear a sob story, man? Guess what? I have sob stories. I was completely destroyed physically, where I could not work anymore at the job I had. Did you know that? Spine surgeries, chemical warfare treatment, freaking like metabolism's all messed up, energy levels like neuropathies, horrific pain. You know what I did? I could have went down to the office and got your tax money, but I didn't. I'm like, hey, let me adapt and overcome. Let me figure this shit out. And so I did. So now I'm training guys. How dare you charge for training? You even have that, like, yeah, you should just let us out there and you train us for free because, like, are you a communist? I'm not gonna say the naughty words. No, dude. Sorry. By the way, when you give people free shit, they look at it as shit. I guarantee you this video is free. There'll be people talking shit on a free video about like how stuff should be more free. How can I make it more free than being 100% free? Yeah, but you have a different video that's not free. Yeah, it's awesome. Go pay for it and watch it. It's fun. We have a lot of fun over there making fun of you freaking communists. We make fun of communists on that side. We're talking crap about all the freeloaders and all the, what do you call these guys? Slackers, right? Calm down, right? I enjoy YouTube still. I still on YouTube. I'm here still, man. I've seen, you want to know what poverty is? Complaining. All you freaking complainers with your sitting there in your pajamas in a heated house with a roof that doesn't leak, with enough food and a supercomputer. Weird. You have access to stuff Nero and Caesar could never afford. And you're sitting there complaining how poor you are in America, man. Are you freaking kidding me? I've seen poor people, real ones. You travel a little bit, and I'll tell you again, like I saw widows freezing to death in the winter that were stuck to the sidewalk, reaching up, crying like, please, I got water. Like, and if I give them money, they're only going to get robbed by the professional beggars that are more like you guys that are complaining. But there are actual widows. I would give them food, and I would stand there and watch them eat it. Hand them, like I could carry stuff in my pocket candy and stuff, like, here you go. Like, there's thousands and tens of and hundreds of thousands of people like that. You don't have enough charity. I realized in my journeys on the earth, you do not have enough time or resources to feed all of them, even the real ones. So I will smack the shit out of you if you complain about being poor and you're not frozen on the sidewalk. And she only had like one leg or something. And there's like a whole row of them. There's certain parts of town where they allow that, right? Where, you know, like on a transit area where there's like people coming in and out of stores and stuff. Like, okay, we'll let the widows like freeze on this sidewalk. I don't like people pretending to be helpless. Helpless, henpecking, self-righteous punks in America. That's what I think about that. I want to hear what is in the Bible. How about this? What did the apostles think of this stuff, right? Because they would probably know, right? Let me adjust this a little bit. I'm going to read this for you. Okay. All right, guys, like New Testament stuff, we'll go straight there because the Old Testament's just mean, you know. It's too scary and mean for anyone to handle. So we'll read the New Testament. Okay. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. But we command you, brothers and sisters, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, to keep away from any brother who lives an undisciplined life and not according to the tradition they received from us. For you know yourselves how you must imitate us, because we did not behave without discipline among you. And we did not eat anyone's food without paying for it. Instead, in toil and drudgery, we worked day and night in order not to burden any of you. It was not because we do not have that right, but to give ourselves as an example for you to imitate. For even when we were with you, we used to give you this command: if anyone is not willing to work, neither should he eat. For we hear that some among you are living an undisciplined life, not doing their own work, but meddling with the work of others, interfering with other people's work. You hear that? I'm going to sit here and claim the moral high ground, complaining about Rex's like trying to do his work while you're not doing work. I'm too poor, but like, how dare you try to do work, Rex? You are literally meddling in the work of others. Now such people we command and urge in the name of Lord Jesus Christ to work quietly and so provide their own food to eat. But you, brothers and sisters, do not grow weary in doing what is right. But if anyone does not obey our message through this letter, take note of him and do not associate closely with him, so that he may be ashamed. Shaming the freaking useless ones. This is what the apostles did. That's what they told us. They instructed us so that he may be ashamed. Yet do not disregard him as an enemy, but admonish him as a brother. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace at all times and in every way. The Lord be with you all. And that's from Paul. Ever hear that one? Do they preach that at your church a lot? I don't know. But if someone is a slacker, and if you're in the United States with all the opportunity we have here, and you have an iPhone, you have the ability to complain on the internet. If you have the ability to complain about being poor on the internet, guess what? You have no excuse, man. You can figure something out. Figure it out. Proverbs chapter 10. He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent man maketh rich. I'm not rich, but I'm being taken care of, and I don't want to become boastful or prideful of like not being laying on the sidewalk outside. And some people, actual misfortune happens, but usually they don't have supercomputers in their pocket and can complain about it. Because that ain't misfortune. If you're still eating, if you're still well fed by the charity of others through taxes. And you guys, how many of you pay taxes? How many of you pay too much damn taxes? That's charity, man. Why not go up to someone who is working instead of bitching that they should give you more free shit? Tell them thank you for the stuff you already got. How about them apples? 1 Timothy chapter 5. But if any not provide for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Why would Rex bring this stuff up? I still have that generous heart. I do. But I recognize that sometimes the most generous thing you can do is to lay down everything you have with someone by being honest with them and telling them the truth. Saying, hey man, I will help you to help yourself. I will encourage you. I will attempt to motivate you, right? But those looking for handouts all the time, there's no moral high ground in that. If that's what happens, if you are truly destitute, I'm not going to be hearing from you on the phone, but if I see you on the street, I will, and always have had a heart to try to help out in all ways, right? Luke said, or logged, actually this is what Jesus said, Yeshua, Luke chapter 6, verse 31. And as you wish that others would do to you, so do to them. If I'm out of whack, I want my bros to tell me so that I can become less out of whack. That's all. So, I mean, I'm here as a testimony, man. I'm like physically broken. Like all this kind of stuff. I could list the stuff. I could get handicap status almost immediately. I bet you. I mean, like if you want to have a contest of head injuries and concussions and repetitive concussive events and like poisonings and all kinds of stuff like chemical exposures and all the medical stuff, man, I have a million reasons to complain. You know, there was times where I could have made more money by working less, and I didn't. When I was going to college, I was really good. They wanted to give me all these grants, right? Because like, wow, top student, like this kid's smart. Let's give him some money and help him get through college. Well, I insisted on working really hard at a really good job through the summer and a job where I would work on site for like 29 days in a row and not even be able to see my wife for like a month. It's like deploying or something for a short amount of time, right? And I did that and I made, I think, $15,000 less by working my ass off. And I was pissed about it, but I feel better doing that because I have principle, man. I can work. I'm going to make my own. I'm going to carry my own weight. Just like it said in Thessalonians, man, I will go through the drudgery, right? I'll go through the drudgery to pay my bills as long as it's humanly possible. Encourage people to do better. Give people ideas for ways to be productive. But be careful, because if you're just given handouts, is that the long-term solution or is that the short-term solution? What's easier? Giving someone the $5 or $10 to get them out of your hair immediately? Or trying to pass on a hard truth where you be hated and scorned and accused of being evil because you're telling people stuff that they don't want to hear, which costs a lot more, right? Man, I'd rather give someone $10 and just see them like, all right, get at them. Yeah, I don't want to hear from you. Here's $10. So here's a free deal. Here's a free class. Here's some more free training, man. Here's some more free stuff. Here's some more free videos, right? I'd rather just do that to get them out of my hair than I would to have to sit there and talk to them about serious stuff to where all of a sudden, like, I am the bad guy now, right? What's easier? You tell me. I don't think it's arrogance, man. I mean, if you want to do an in-depth Bible study on mooching and helpless people, helpless, needy birds that have chosen to be helpless. Because in a high-tech economy and industry like the United States, even with all our troubles we have, you know how freaking rich we are, man? There is no excuse around here to run around and cry about like how you're totally helpless, okay? And if you are actually in that boat, just thank people who have been taking care of you this far the whole time, rather than bitching at them. That's the way I feel. I feel just like Principal Strickland. What a cold-hearted, evil guy, following the Bible exactly, like with normal principles of trying to love people by convincing them to get their own house in order. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Got lots more free content here on YouTube because I like putting the stuff out there. We also got Patreon. If you want to buy me a cup of coffee for being in the uncensored Patreon zone, we talk a lot more about this kind of stuff over there. But we appreciate you, and you guys take it easy. Don't get sucked into this victim status one way or the other, right? All right, Rex out.